Okay, what is it? Late at night, and I'm making another video, making an episode here about copper, and figured, you know what? Copper just broke out to, I believe, new record all-time highs, and I just checked a couple minutes ago. It was trading at, what's it at? $4 and, I think 63 cents a pound. Something like that. It really is. And so copper's at all-time highs, and copper's not really a a great investment, I don't think. But as a coin collector, I do find it very interesting, and so I want to go over what I like about copper and really showcase some of the copper coins here in my collection. And I don't profess to be an expert on any sort of numismatics or copper coins, but it's very interesting. It's kind of like silver and gold. I guess you could include it as a monetary metal to a very lesser extent, and really what it is, frankly, is a token. Okay, so it's really used to kind of fill in the gaps, because you might have heard before that there's not enough silver or there's not enough gold in the world to go back to the gold standard or go back to silver money, because there's too many people and there's not enough. You could never remonetize the system and have enough coinage in circulation. But what copper does, it kind of fills in the gaps. And because when it comes down to it, I mean, copper's, some people say silver is too heavy. It takes up too much space. It doesn't hold enough value in a small package. Well, copper is much, much worse. It's really an industrial metal nowadays. And, the gold to silver ratio throughout history was always about, 16 to 1. The copper ratio, it's over 100 to 1. The silver to copper ratio is probably over 100 to 1, because that's what they did back in the day. You had 100 cents in a silver dollar. And actually, in Britain, what's interesting, they use these pennies. I grabbed one a minute ago. But, of course, they had an very interesting imperial monetary system based off the British pound, which was a small golden coin about a quarter of an ounce. And it was 20 shillings in a pound, but 12 pence in a shilling. So this is a penny. Multiple pennies are called pence. And there was 240 pennies or pence in a pound. So it was a little different. But, it was five shillings in a crown, and a crown was a silver dollar. In fact, I had one a minute ago. Let me see if I still had it out here. One of my newer acquisitions. This is one of the only crowns I have, and I don't really know the full story on it. It's a Bermuda crown. It's very new. It's 1959. This is the anniversary edition from Bermuda, and it's sterling silver, and I believe the weight is right. The crowns are slightly larger than a US dollar, but if you figure there's 5 shillings in a crown, and I've actually got, not to get too off topic here, but I think I got a shilling in here, probably. Got a little box of coins here. Oh, here we go. So there's two really worn coins, not great. But we have a South African shilling from the British Empire, and a British florin, which is 2 shillings. So we'll take the smaller one, that's the shilling. So it was 12 pence would go in a silver shilling. And silver shilling, I believe it's about 5 grams. I have a Canadian quarter for reference. It's, I can't remember now if it's bigger than a quarter. I think it's slightly smaller than a quarter dollar. But, yeah, so it would have been 60 pennies in a crown. But these are big pennies, as you can see. You know, here in America, we're used to these pennies, and we call them pennies, but they're not actually a penny. Technically speaking, these are cents, 100 cents. In a dollar, other countries, they use other words, like in France, they use centum. In Mexico or Spanish countries, I think they use centavos, etc. Germany, they call them pfennigs. But, yeah, pretty interesting stuff. And as you can see, back to me calling it tokens, you know, that's all it is, because if you're trying to get close to the actual copper to silver ratio, you'd need big pennies. And, you know, it would take stacks of them. It would be ginormous stacks. So, really, the pennies are kind of like credit. They're like a lubricant in the system to keep the monetary wheels moving. And actually, the world mints, every time they minted copper money into existence, they made a profit. Because, again, you know, these have a face value of 1 penny, and there's 12 pennies in a shilling, but it costed, you know, the copper value was probably, you know, 2 pennies, and now they're worth a shilling. So you can see the mints are making profits, and that's not exact ratios there, but gives you an idea. We'll take a quick step back in time, because this is one of my oldest coins that I own, and pretty fascinating. This is a Russian kopek, and yeah, very cool coin. It was under Catherine the Great, I believe, this particular one. It's very dark brown patina, and I want to go over patinas. I like my copper to have a nice brown patina on it. But, oh, there we go, 1784, and I think that's her initials. Hard to see in there, but I think it's like, you know, it looks like TE, but I think it's for Catherine the Great. I don't know. Maybe it was her predecessor, or successor, I don't know. And I don't know if that's a mint mark. Well, there's an E and an M. It's got their eagle. I've actually got a modern kopek. I hate to keep doing this to you guys, just reaching across the table looking for things. I don't know where they are. Actually, here's 2 other interesting issues. Bring those 2 coins out. So this was a modern kopek. Where'd it go? Yeah, much smaller, but this is still old. This was a, what was this? 1915, so the start of World War I. Nice little copper kopek. See, it says right there, 1 kopeka in Cyrillic. And you see the P for pi. I'm forgetting my Cyrillic alphabet. Now look at that, it's got a reeded milled edge, very interesting. For copper coins, it's quite uncommon. And the camera will probably have a hard time focusing on that. Yeah, well, it's the eagle. You get the picture. The other one, I pulled that out right quick there, was that Palestinian mill, and now it's disappeared in the pile of coins. Oh, here it is. It was a rather dark one. Focus. Yeah, Palestine, 1927. And it's got some kind of plant. 1 mil. Pretty cool. This was the British Protectorate at the time. So it's got a couple languages there. These are cool coins, not rated. And you can see size. That's probably about the size of a Canadian penny. So speaking of Canadian pennies, this is a my only example of a large cent. And I think it's been cleaned, as you can kind of see there, unfortunately. But right during World War I, this side's got a nice luster and color toning on it, but very nice design. It's a nice big coin compared to an American cent. You can see it's a lot bigger. And it was right around this time, I think, shortly after this, it might have been around 1930, they switched over to the new design, which is closer to the American cent. So there you got 2 Canadian cents, 2 kings, King George the V and King George the VI, I believe. Here's my oldest American cent. Well, I got one in an album, but this one's in pretty rough shape. These can go anywhere from like $10 to $20 if it's in good shape. I think I paid like $5 or something for this. What it looks like, because this side's in pretty good shape in terms of wear. Nice denticles on it. I do love that. This is a large cent from 1853, before the Civil War. Just imagine who held this. It's probably Philadelphia Mint. But this side's incredibly worn, and the edges have like a silvery look. I think this was like in a bezel. It might have been in some kind of necklace or belt buckle or something, or ring or decorative object, and the backside was probably protected, and maybe that was the outer piece and just got worn, and that explains why this wasn't worn as much. So talking about debasement, because we all know about silver, and that was a sad story. A lot of these countries after World War I, you had Britain debasing their silver money by 50%, and after 1964, the United States, we debased our half dollar by, we made it 40% coinage. So there's a long pattern of human history of debasing money, and it takes different shapes. They don't always do it by purity. Sometimes they clip the corners, they make them smaller. Because again, I said at the beginning, even 100 cents, if they were this big or this big, would not have been worth a silver dollar. But then, to make matters worse, they reduced the size, half the size, so it's token money. And the Canadians, they really outdid themselves. If you're starting with this, these 2 issues are the same weight. But then shortly after, I think they came out with this one, which was probably like 0.2 grams less, but you're saving a little bit of money on copper. And then eventually they were doing something like this. You can see this coin has, I don't know how many edges that is, but like they clip the corners all the way around so it's not a perfect circle. And you save how much weight? Fractionally. Again, you're maybe saving 0.1 grams of copper. You're literally clipping the corners to save money. So it's interesting. And of course, then they went to steel cents, and the U.S. went to zinc cents. Pathetic. Can't even maintain a copper standard. So I've been getting back into copper recently, and I picked up some other ones. I'll show you. So from Australia and New Zealand, I was able to find these. Well, I think, let me move my light. I think I can get a little better light if I do this right. There we go. So, yeah, this is looking a little better. I apologize. Hopefully I don't run out of film. So you got the Australian on the left, New Zealand on the right. Same size as I recall. And they're both 1 cent. They went decimal. They both went away from the imperial shillings. And those are slightly smaller, I do believe, than the American penny. slightly smaller. Again, this was really cheapskating because they started these two in about 1965, I think. And boy, I mean, we've come a long way from, you know, from one of those down to that little thing in terms of clipping the weights. As you can see, they're both Queen Elizabeth. And funny enough, that penny, these are probably made in the same date. They made these big pennies up until about 1967, 65, 67, something like that. But yeah, they started debasing it. Yeah, so some of the other ones here. Just grabbed, let's see, and I apologize, this is, got some wheat cents. I do like to sort pennies, so I've got like a box of wheat cents, and I do hang on to the coppers, so that was something I wanted to touch on too, is that copper's a tough investment for a lot of reasons. One, it takes up a ginormous amount of space and weight. It's incredibly heavy. Two, if you're buying it online or from any coin shop, you're paying huge premiums. I mean, if you're buying the bullion, like a 1 ounce round, this is copper round. I mean, I would get these on sale for 89 cents, but it's like 25 cents worth of copper. It's nothing. You're paying twice what it's worth, 3, 4 multiples what it's worth. So it's hard to get a good deal, and it's hard to sell it. Nobody wants to buy copper. Unless you're talking like $5 worth. Who's going to buy $5,000 worth of copper? Nobody wants that. So the best way to invest in copper, quote unquote invest, this is really just if you're a coin collector and you're kind of a coin nut like the rest of us. You can go through Copper Cents you get from the bank. You can order a $25 penny box and you just pull all the coppers. Now I'll go back to patina. My favorite, so really the dark brown ones, because copper, it starts out, when you pour it and stamp it, very bright. And they'll call these like a red blazer. The red metal is what it's called. But it fingerprints very easily. And I think the sweat, or if you're handling it, the salt on your fingers can really cause corrosion. One example, I bought this. This was like a red cent. Oops, when I bought it. Where'd it go? Oh. And I put it away, and then I looked at it again, and I saw it was already starting to get this copper corrosion on the bottom right. Hard to see, and I actually scrubbed that with a brush. It was a lot worse, but that was just from handling it, but it was BU, it was uncirculated. And if it had a nice patina like this, these ones, they're not going to rust as easily or corrode or get copper disease. So the patina actually helps the coin. Alright, I'm going to save a little breath while I just show you some other coins, and then we'll wrap it up. These are interesting. They still use these, I think. They had, after they decimalized the new penny and the 2-cent pence. The D stands for denarius, which is kind of dumb, I think, because denarius was a silver coin. But it's a penny. And they also had half pennies, of course. So these are both half pennies, British and Australian Commonwealth. This is interesting. This is like a modern issue. Czech, I think. Brno, Czechoslovakia, or Czech Republic. So 1993. So this is cool. They were still using bronze up until 1993. I do like a good copper coin. 10 something. I don't know much about it. It's probably like 10 pennies or something. Well, this one's interesting. I recently got this, South Africa. It's a 2-cent piece. 2-cent pieces are weird and uncommon, but we've already seen a couple of them. And this had, I believe that's Jan van Riebeck. And I got the sister piece here. 1 rand. It's a very bland coin, but I guess there was 100 cents in a rand, probably. That was back when the rand was real money. And they had gold coins too, of course. These are my favorite. I've only found one searching penny boxes. Boy, we're at 20 minutes. You know, these are other forms of bullion. I've got a few collectible, well, pocket pieces. They've got a nice patina already. I'm going to run out of space here. If I run out of space, I run out of space. I think we looked through most of it. But yeah, what are your thoughts on copper? Here's another one. Oh, another South African. This is their penny, 1 cent. It's milled, if you can believe it. Very peculiar. Got their coat of arms. And look, 1985. They were using copper up until about 1992, I think, or maybe around there. The U.S., we stopped making copper cents in 1982. But that's when a lot of places stopped. These are interesting. So not only did they have half pennies, but a quarter penny, because the British penny was so big, is a farthing. I know, right? Farthings, half pennies, pennies, pence, shillings, pounds, crowns. It's fun once you learn how it works. Oh, Japanese stuff. I recently got these. Now, these two on the right are older. They're from about 1922, I believe. And they're sen. They're about the size of a cent. Say like a Canadian cent, I think. Maybe a little smaller. But they're slightly larger than a U.S. penny. And there was 100 sen in a yen. A yen was actually a silver dollar, basically. But look, Japan's one of those countries that, I guess after the war, they've had the worst inflation that they haven't fixed. But, I mean, it got so bad. This is a 10 yen coin. Now, if you can believe it, back in the 1920s, during the gold standard, their 10 yen coin was gold. And it was about this size. And it got so bad now, it's a copper coin, 10 yen. That's not even sen. They don't even use the sen at this point. This was like 1970 something, I think. Thought it did have the date on there, maybe not. But yeah, I think it's around 87 or something. Japanese. Very cool. But boy, I mean, they've had terrible inflation over there in Japan. So what else? I think we covered most of it. You know, I stand by the fact if you're investing, just stick with silver. And copper's fun. And if you're just going through your pennies, definitely save all your pennies from pre-19... Well, you can weigh the ones in 1982 and before and get the copper ones. But sometimes you find a good deal to, you know, get the limit for free shipping. Throw 1 or 2 of these in your cart. I used to get these around 89 cents each as pocket piece. But yeah, that's about all I had. I think we... Oh, here we go, actually. I did want to look at this. This one's really cool. A lot of these island Caribbean coins, which are British, had some cool pennies. You got, you know, Bermuda, Bahamas. They have a starfish, and it used to be a little bigger, and then they made it a little smaller. So there's fascinating history on all these copper coins, and now that silver's so expensive, I'm kind of picking through the copper coins to add to my collection. But like the video, please. You know, it takes a lot of effort to make these, and I'm pretty lazy. So if you got some words, you know, leave a comment. Tell me what you think about copper, coins, pennies. Do you sort them? Do you like it? Do you think copper's going up this year? All-time highs we're hitting in copper? Anyways, have a great night, guys.